He didn't stop touching you because he stopped wanting you. He stopped touching you because every time he tried, it felt like rejection wearing your skin. Most women never see it happening. They just feel the distance. He's quieter, less affectionate, less present. And in the bedroom, it's like the light is on, but no one's home. They ask themselves, is he losing interest? But the truth is darker and more important. He's starving, not for physical intimacy, not for novelty, but for something he doesn't have the language to ask for, something he was never taught to name, something society told him to bury so deep, even he can't find it sometimes. And yet, you feel it. You sense something's off. And you're right, because this isn't just about what happens in bed. This is about what's been quietly dying between the sheets and what it will take to bring it back to life. Here's what no one tells you about men. They crave intimacy as much as women do, but they're punished for wanting it emotionally. Since boyhood, they've been taught to prove their worth through performance. Be strong, be useful, be in control. They're praised when they provide, not when they feel. So even when they want to be vulnerable, to be held, to feel safe, it comes out sideways, through being physical, through silence, through subtle withdrawal. Most men don't know how to say, I feel alone in this relationship. So instead, they just stop reaching for you. But make no mistake, that silence is screaming. In bed, he doesn't just want pleasure. He wants to feel like your presence is not an obligation. He wants to feel like your touch means, I choose you, still, even now. You matter to me beyond what you do for me. I don't just love you, I see you. That kind of connection, where admiration and desire are alive, is oxygen to him. When that's missing, he may still go through the motions. He might still initiate or respond, but the depth is gone. And slowly, so is he, because men can engage in physical closeness without feeling connected, but they can't stay in love without feeling desired. He might not need compliments every day, he might act like he doesn't care, but deep down, every man wants to feel like he's still your man. Not just the one who fixes things or pays the bills, not just the one you tolerate when you're tired, but the one who can still turn your head in a crowded room, the one whose touch still makes you melt. Admiration is not ego-stroking, it's emotional fuel, and in bed, it becomes the difference between performance and true intimacy. When a man feels admired, he gives more, emotionally, physically, spiritually, not out of duty, but out of devotion. But when he feels invisible, he stops showing up with his heart, even if he's still there in body. Rejection doesn't always look like no. Sometimes it looks like a distracted okay, a kiss that feels rushed, a touch that's more routine than real, a moment when he leans in, and you don't even notice. You weren't trying to push him away. You were tired, stressed, or just not in the mood. Understandable, but for him, it didn't register as timing. It registered as truth. She's not into me. I'm not who she wants anymore. She's only here out of obligation, and he won't fight that feeling. He'll just shut down, not because he doesn't care, but because caring while feeling unwanted is unbearable. This is how men emotionally bleed out in relationships, quietly, politely, invisibly. To most women, intimacy is emotional first, physical second. But for most men, it's reversed. Being physically close is how they access their emotions. That doesn't mean they only want one thing. It means closeness is the gateway to feeling accepted, desired, safe to express. When he reaches for you physically, it's often his way of saying, I miss you emotionally, without knowing how to form the words. So when that reach is rejected, especially repeatedly, it doesn't just hurt his pride. It questions the core of who he is in your eyes. To a man, emotional rejection often sounds like, you're failing, you're not enough, you're replaceable. Even if that's not what you meant, that's how it feels. Eventually he stops trying, not because he's given up on you, but because he's protecting himself. He starts thinking, why bother? I don't want to feel shut out again. Maybe she just doesn't want me anymore. And then something dangerous happens. He builds a new version of closeness with his work, his phone, his hobbies, even fantasies, because those things don't reject him. They don't make him feel small. And slowly he stops reaching, stops touching, stops sharing, stops risking. Not because the love is gone, but because the safety is. Here's the truth. Women hold more power in this space than they often realize. Not power to control him, power to awaken him. You don't need to beg him to open up. You don't need to fix his silence. What you need is to create a space where he doesn't feel like he's on trial for wanting you. A space where he doesn't have to earn your affection like a reward. Where he doesn't feel like an inconvenience for desiring his own partner. Where being emotionally expressive doesn't feel risky. It feels welcomed. That space, it's built with moments like a soft come here when he walks past you, reaching for him first when you usually wait, whispering you still do it for me in the middle of an ordinary Tuesday, letting your touch say you're not just loved, you're craved. To you it might feel small, to him it's everything. If you've noticed the gap growing, it's not too late. But it does take honesty, not just with him, but with yourself. Ask, have I been treating him like a partner or like a provider? Have I been emotionally available or just physically present? Have I unintentionally made him feel like he's asking for too much, just by wanting connection? When you see where things shifted, you can shift them back. Not by trying harder, but by softening, slowing down, becoming intentional. Because the greatest intimacy isn't found in grand gestures. It's in the moments when he realizes he doesn't have to beg to feel wanted. There's a difference between being needed and being chosen. He knows he's helpful. He knows he's dependable. But does he still make your eyes light up when he walks into the room? Does he still make your body lean in because you want him, not because it's been a while? Men may not say it, but they feel the difference. Being needed says, you're useful. Being chosen says, you're still the one I want. And that second one, it's rare, precious, powerful. When a man feels like he's still the man you would pick, even now, after all the life, the stress, the routines, it changes how he shows up, not just in bed, but in everything. He listens more, he softens, he protects with his whole heart, because he doesn't feel tolerated, he feels treasured. Here's something few people talk about. When men feel emotionally safe, admiration turns into playfulness. And that playfulness, that's where desire lives. Not in the performance, not in the routine, but in the aliveness. Men don't just want physical connection. They want spark. They want moments that feel new again, even in a familiar body. And neuroscience backs this up. The male brain responds to novelty and surprise with a surge of dopamine. That's not immaturity, it's evolution. It's hardwired. So when you shift just one small thing, your tone, your timing, your touch, you awaken the part of him that remembers, she doesn't just love me, she wants me. That's why even a whispered, I've been thinking about you all day, can hit harder than any scripted move. Because it's real, it's unexpected, and it reaches him in the place where he forgot he could still feel something new. This isn't about changing who you are. This is about reconnecting with the version of you who used to flirt for fun, who used to reach for him not out of habit, but out of heat, who used to look at him like he was a secret you couldn't wait to unwrap. That woman, she's still there. She's just buried under schedules, to-do lists, and emotional exhaustion. And the truth is, he misses her. Not because you're not enough now, but because that part of you made him feel alive. When you bring her back, not every day, but even just in moments, you remind him that the spark didn't die. It just got quiet. And he'll respond, not because you demanded it, but because you created space for it to reawaken. Intimacy that heals, not just excites. We often talk about intimacy as chemistry. But for men, true intimacy is also confirmation. It says you're still the man I desire. You're still worth reaching for. You're not alone here. And when he receives that kind of confirmation, not just physically, but emotionally, it doesn't just turn him on. It heals him. Because maybe for the first time in weeks, months, even years, he finally feels safe, seen, significant. And that's the kind of intimacy that doesn't fade. That's the kind of intimacy that makes a man fight for you, over and over again. Not because he has to, but because being with you makes him feel more alive than he's ever felt before. The truth he'll never say, but hopes you know. He won't ask you for this. He might not even realize how deeply he needs it. But if he could find the words, they'd sound something like, I don't just want your body, I want your spark. I want to feel like I still move you. Like I'm still your man, not just because I'm here, but because you see me. Because you choose me. Because when I touch you, something real happens again. And when you give him that, you won't just revive your bedroom. You'll resurrect the kind of love most people spend their lives chasing and never quite find. Men will never tell you this, but they want it in bed. They want to feel wanted, desired, admired, chosen. They want to know they still have access to the part of you that used to light up just for them. And when you give him even a glimpse of that again, you won't be the only one watching him come back to life. He'll look at you differently, touch you differently, love you differently. Not because you became someone new, but because you remembered the fire you always had, and you chose to let him feel it again.